Hello everybody, welcome back to ASAT. Today's video will sum yet another real SEC math question from the official College Board Educator question bank. This one with ID fb866265. Problem solving and data analysis. Now the scatter plot shows the relationship between two variables x and y. An equation for the exponential model shown will be written as y is equal to a times b to the power of x, where a and b are positive constants. Which of the following is closest to the value of b? Now here a and b are positive constants. Therefore, a is a positive non-zero value and b is a positive non-zero value. Therefore, the only thing here that changes would be the x, our input, the value that we use to change our output, which is y. So what would be a value for b, right? Considering that it is to the exponent of x, right? What will be our value of b, or what will be an estimation of our value of b? Is basically what they're asking. Now, here we have to know that as x increases, right, as x gets closer and closer to 14, y is decreasing, right? It's going from 120-ish to, almost, well, pretty much smaller than 10. So here it's showing us that as x increases, y is decreasing, and exponentially at that. So exponentially because there is a power over here. Therefore, what we do know, right, if we're multiplying a number by its same number, right, if we're multiplying this b, right, multiplying it by itself an x amount of times, right, b has to be smaller than 1. Why does it have to be smaller than 1? So if you multiply, for example, 3,000 times a number, right, smaller than 3,000, or sorry, it has to be smaller than 1, and why does it have to be smaller than 1? Now, if you multiply a number by itself, say 3,000 times 3,000, that just gives you a bigger number. If you multiply 1 times 1, it gives you the same number. If you multiply 2 times 2 times 2, that gives you a bigger number than 2. Therefore, it will be increasing. Now, what if you choose what if you choose a number smaller than 1? So if you choose, for example, in this question, 0.83. Now, 0.83, if you multiply 0.83 times 0.83, basically you're multiplying 0.83 by a fraction. Now, a good way to think about it is that if you decrease, if you multiply a number by a number smaller than 1, right? If you're multiplying it by a fraction, so that number will become a fraction of its original number. So if you multiply 0.83 times 0.83 times 0.83, now the bigger the bigger the x, the more exponential the decrease, right? And the smaller the y becomes. Therefore, A is undoubtedly the correct answer. Because let's continue on this route. If you choose B, so if you choose 1.83, if you multiply 1.83 by itself x amount of times as given to us by the equation, you're just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger than 1.83. So you're just gonna y would be going up instead of going down. Now, if you look at this cheat sheet, you'll be able to understand exactly why. Or if you can't keep up with me, you'll understand exactly why in this sheet over here, y is the correct answer. The same for C and D, numbers that are bigger than 1. If you choose 18.36 and you multiply it by 18.36 every or x amount or sorry or if you exponentiate that to 18 point multiply it by 18.36 x amount of times, it'll just give you numbers bigger than 18.36, and therefore y is getting bigger. Same for D. It's literally the same thing. Therefore, A is the best answer and the only correct plausible answer.